Well, well. We gotta start. We gotta go back a couple weeks because it's been a while since I've talked to both the Yins. We gotta go back to the Tomlin Lone Ranger decision to to go with Russell Wilson. Back then, when he made that decision to start Wilson, what did you guys think?
I wasn't a fan just because they were winning, and again, it wasn't all because of Justin Fields. That's not why they were winning. He was definitely helping though, because when they couldn't get things done through the air, you know what I mean? He had the ability to get around, on the ground. And plus it's like I thought, hey, they have momentum, like if anything at the bye week or whatever. I was against it, but I also didn't know that Russell Wilson's still had something left in the tank. It seems like he does, which is good. So I was against it, but now I'm like, yay, good job.
No, I was a fan, and I guess you could say, well, it's easy to say that, root for the other guy, but I think again, we've said this, or at least I've said this all along. Like he quietly threw for 25 touchdowns and he only 6 picks last year. He had a good season. He's one of, and actually in NFL history, one of the best plus minus. He does not turn the ball over, especially through the air. Now he did last night, but the other thing is, I think it quietly went because again, we were very lucky, but Fields fumbled the ball 6 times and the Steelers recovered it 5. Right?
Mm.
So if those would have led to losses or something like that, and I've said all along, Joe, if the turnover Justin Fields started doing that in Pittsburgh, it will not last long at all, no matter what.
Right.
I really feel like if Russell wouldn't have been hurt, I think it would have been Russell the whole time anyway. And I just feel he was a more complete quarterback. So I like the decision because, and I told you last week, I said I've been very critical of Mike Tomlin. Maybe I'm not the most popular guy in the room because of that, but what he did last week took guts, took courage. It was a great coaching decision. And he looked good again last night making that decision too.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then against the Jets, he was shaky and rusty, which is understandable considering he hasn't played in almost a year and had
Dismissed,
hardly any, training camp and stuff. But then he turned it on and it was a beautiful thing. And the beautiful thing continued last night.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
the Jets are a
The,
mess.
well, the Jets are a man. Oh my
And the
goodness.
Giants, gosh, like they had like all their secondary was out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like they were playing like third string secondary or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen the Giants too much, and from what I hear, they sound like the worst team ever. Like they can't even put one foot in front of the other. They almost won. That was
Mhm.
No,
and Daniel Jones looked good. Like, what are you talking about? I think there's a difference between them playing on the road and them playing at home because at home they are completely useless. And
right,
I'm
like the
guessing it's
Cowboys.
because the fans are on them all the time. But man, Jones looked good. The team looked good. They almost pulled that off.
Yeah, if it
They,
hadn't been for the penalties, gosh, I mean, they were just
oh,
shooting themselves in the foot. It seemed like every
Totally.
flag, it was like, okay, it's against the
uh,
offense.
that was
The
horrible
Giants.
penalties. Horrible
Mhm.
penalties. No, they actually on the road have been averaging 7 sacks a game. So they've actually been very good, and they have one of the top 5 red zone defenses. And I think Troy Aikman mentioned that some point during the broadcast too. So they're very difficult, very kind of a stingy, tough defense. But Danny Dimes has been so inconsistent with what he does, and I think the one of the biggest head scratchers in the entire offseason was they let Saquon Barkley go, and Barkley's been doing great in Philly and doing a lot for Jalen Hurts, and I think that's affected Danny Dimes. So I mean, yeah,
Not only did they let Saquon Barkley go, they documented the damn thing for
oh
us.
yeah,
We saw exactly what happened. Like,
yep,
and then when Saquon Barkley came back a week or two ago and they
Mhm.
booed him like crazy, like, why are you booing him? He wanted
Right.
to stay. It was your dummy owner and your dummy GM that didn't want him, you dummies. Boo your own organization, not the guy. The guy wanted to stay.
well
Right.
that's New York fans for you. It's like the other
Mhm.
week after the Steelers loss, what's the first thing Aaron Rodgers does is, well, the first thing we're going to do is not listen to you talking to New York
it's
media.
it's
I'm
the
afraid the New York media. Let me tell you something. It is brutal. They're going to ask the questions. They don't care. I mean, so the
yeah.
last people you want to piss off, you play for
Yeah.
New York team, this is New York media.
They're basically like, you want to fight? Fine, let's fight. Let's go right now.
Don't do that. No, Joe, it was, and again, I really feel like that would have been a game with Fields would have been 50-50 if we would have won that game. I think Russell Wilson moved them down the field. We only came in with 9 points. That kind of sucked in the first half. It really could have been, I at least feel it should have been 17-0, maybe 21-0 if you're wishful thinking. But, the penalty of Broderick Jones, you can start there with that first drive was just another horrendous penalty.
The dude is lost. And
I think we need to talk about Broderick Jones. Like, who would have thought? Like, today I was thinking, man, we should keep Dan Moore. You know what I mean? Like, this is his final year Dan Moore's final year on his contract. We should keep Dan Moore and be like, yeah, okay, Broderick Jones. Or, it could be just a matter of he's playing at the wrong position. You know what I mean? But
Right.
at this point, you would think he's played enough at the left
right tackle.
Right, yeah, that he should be able, you know what I mean? He'd be
I mean, he was fine last year, and this year he's a complete mess.
Right.
I don't know what I don't know what's wrong with the kid. I don't know. I don't know. It's I keep hearing, well, he needs to get on his details and he needs to develop good habits and stuff. It almost sounds like a work ethic thing. Like, did you just hear all the people say good things about you and just assumed you just made it and you don't have to work anymore? I don't know. I don't know. It kind of you kind of read between the lines. It kind of seems like people are saying that his work ethic isn't great.
Yeah, and if that's the case, geez, it's like work ethics are hard to just, when you're kind of stuck in a certain way.
You either have it or you don't.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so.
Yeah, but I think you're still gonna make mistakes. I remember we were at a Steelers function. I think it was a Chuck Noll 5K, Joe, and Craig Wolfley spoke, and Wolf's great. And even before, when they drafted Broderick Jones, he talked about this one time where I think it was the second year, and Franco had like a 90-yard touchdown run. It would have been Franco's longest run in his life, and he got called for holding, and it had to come all the way back. And like Franco always, gave him crap for that. But I'm not ready to write the kid off. But to Allison's point, I think there's reason to be concerned at this, a little bit. I mean, it seems to be, happening at a frequent basis where it's not just like, okay, now it's 1st and 20. It always seems to like cost us a touchdown, take us out of field goal range, cost us on a 3rd down conversion. It's always like critical times. Not that there's a good time for holding, but it's just been at the wrong time.
Right. I agree.
But I'm tired of this narrative that say, well, the Steelers' red zone offense really sucks. They really need to work on that. I saw them score touchdowns. They're scoring the touchdowns. They're just being called back on holding penalties or you didn't get all your feet down or some crap like that. The touchdowns are there. They're just not being finished.
Right.
Yeah, the second one, I'm not sure what well, the word on the street today was there was a lot of confusion on the field. So the referees at first called it a touchdown, then they waved that off, said it wasn't a touchdown. So it was under review, but then Tomlin challenges it, which he didn't need to do. And again, Mike, you've been doing this for almost 20 years. Like, I think you should know this.
He's on the rules committee.
Yeah.
You should know the rules. You're on the rules committee, dude.
God, like he's been doing this for how long? And he's still threw the flag on that?
What was really weird about that was, okay, it was a scoring play, so it's automatically reviewable.
Right.
We reviewed it, and that's it. I was like, I want to challenge that. Like, what they should have just said is no. And that's it. Right. But it was like, oh yeah, go ahead, challenge. No, you can't challenge. You're being penalized.
Right.
But why don't you just tell me no? But yeah, Tomlin should have known better. Who knows? It's one of those things where who knows what was going on. Maybe he wanted to just buy some time. Who knows? But it's one of those things where he just, he likes to lie to our face sometimes.
Yeah, it's just lucky. They're lucky it didn't come back to bite him in the butt, that they were like, oh, if they had needed that timeout.
Right.
In that first half, I mean, they still had a chance to drive down there, maybe kick an extra field goal. And I'm sitting there, we have no timeouts left. So in a way, it didn't bite him in the butt, but it would have been like, God, we have no timeouts left. None. Yeah, that one. Yeah, so 9-9.
Yeah. So it was
Right, yeah.
9-9, and then the Calvin Austin game. Man,
Right.
imagine what you're thinking if you're Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson. Basically, all you've heard for the past 3 months is, boy, our wide receivers suck. We need to get new wide receivers in here. And they see wide receivers being traded every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're thinking, I better step it up or I'm not going to play at all.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we've been waiting for Calvin Austin for how many years now. And good for him. The punt return, which by the way, kind of could have called a penalty, but
Could have
anyway.
come back very
Right,
easily.
yeah,
Probably
yeah,
Well,
should have.
that's the
no.
thing. We saw the flag, and I thought, well, this is coming back, and then
Mhm.
they're like illegal procedure or whatever. Like, really? Oh, okay, fine, I'll take it.
Right.
You took
Yeah.
away a touchdown from us, so you give us a touchdown. That's cool.
Uh-huh.
And that pass was beautiful. He's finally utilizing his speed. He's, hopefully he's figuring it out. And
Mm-hmm.
but just I just love that with Russell Wilson, it's an NFL offense where we throw and run the ball. Oh my God, what a concept. I haven't seen this in 3 years. What a
Right.
crazy concept. Throwing the ball to receivers down the field. What?
Well,
Play action pass? What?
What?
and
Oh
that's the
yeah.
point with Najee. I mean, Najee had another good night. I mean, he didn't get the end zone,
Yeah.
sadly, because I had him in fantasy, but that's just
Mhm.
my season's worse than Florida State's right now. But
I've
look
lost
how
4
he's
in a
coming
row.
along in
I've
his
lost 4
second.
in a row, so.
Yeah, look how he's coming along in the second half. Well, the reason he's coming along in the second half, and Jalen Warren too, is because in the first half we're actually moving the ball, we're passing the ball. It's opening up the lanes, it's opening up the linebackers. Where with Fields, again, not the crap on Fields, he struggled so bad in the first half of just about every single game he played that they were stacking the box in the second half, and there was hardly any time to run the ball.
Mhm.
So like you said, Joe, it's a really good point. Is it's the balance is back. It's there. We can do things in the first quarter differently than the fourth quarter. We can do a lot of different things right now. And honestly, Arthur Smith to me is starting to click. I would
Mhm.
like to have seen a little bit more to Muth or Mount Washington a little bit
Yeah.
last night. I would like to see a little bit more tight end play, but I'm not going to complain. They won.
Mhm.
But they get to bye week, and maybe they can review some of that stuff and even get better because that helps.
That
Najee
second
had
half.
another 100-yard game.
Yeah, third
Bingo.
of the season.
And he's actually um like you said, they were stacking the box because as soon as Najee was in the game, it was like a broadcast, like, attention, we are running now. And they just stacked the box and stopped him. And that's how it's been for like his entire career here. Is he's had to
Mhm.
deal with that. And now he's actually getting not stacked boxes and he's just running like crazy. He's born free. He's free
Born
to roam.
free.
Beautiful. It's a
Yeah, it's great
beautiful
to see.
thing.
It's great to see, right? Because it's like so many, myself included. I was like, Naj, what? You gotta pick it up. You're not seeing holes. You're not, you're just running in the middle of the pile. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
not getting on the
Dancing
outside. You know
before he
what I
hits
mean?
the
And
hole.
so he's finally getting it done, and it's really great to see because it's now that he realizes. I mean, I know that he knows that it was his final, last year of his contract, and obviously he didn't get that 5th-year exercise, but he knows how critical it is for him to step it up this season, and it's good to see that he's finally able to do that with the help of the offensive line as well. So,
Well, I was going to go there, so that's good. I mean, I really think the offensive line did a pretty good job against a very good Giants team
Yeah.
last night.
That was their strength. The Giants' strength was their defensive line, and you
Yeah,
didn't really hear that much
arguably
from
the
them.
best nose tackle in the league, and they did a pretty good job containing him for the most part. I mean,
Mhm.
I thought one thing was for sure last night we were going to get to Daniel Jones, and they were going to get to Russell Wilson. No questions asked. There was going to be some sacks. I was just worried, are they going to hit that 7 sacks that they've been hitting on the road, and they didn't last night with a again, to Allison's point, a backup, well, fairly almost 3 backups and 2 starters.
Mhm.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, and what's interesting about it is the line. There's 3 starters missing, right, from
Yeah.
the offensive line. So,
Which,
and it
yeah.
seems like they've been playing better, and it could just all be coincidence, or just the fact that it's getting, they're playing more, and with more play, you get better, hopefully. But it just seems like this particular unit, this personnel, is playing so much better than they were.
And I attribute that a little bit to Russell Wilson too, right? It seemed like, and especially in that Jets game, like everything was firing. The defense, the O line, Joey Porter, who does to Leanne's point need a belt. I saw a little bit more
It
of
did
his
look that. I was like,
ass.
what is that? His butt crack? I was
I
like, oh,
saw more of
that's
his
his.
ass
Yeah,
last night than I ever wanted to.
well, that
But
was
that
his
was
belt.
cool. Joey Porter comes out, then TJ Watt brings him in the ring, and they're going nuts, and he's wearing his son's jersey, and that was really cool.
Oh, wait, they brought Joey Porter Sr.
Yeah,
into the huddle.
in the
Yeah.
No
huddle.
way. I thought that was
Mhm.
Junior they did
Yeah,
that
in
with. Oh, that's
between
really
after the
cool.
national anthem and
Yeah.
about right before kickoff, the kind of everybody's got their gear on, get in the huddle and psych up, kind of thing. Yeah, they brought him in.
I
He
wonder
had
if
he had his son's jersey on. He when he came out
right,
in the
right.
beginning, he had his own jersey, but then he put on Junior's jersey
I
to
wonder if
go
Joey
along.
Porter Sr. It's Denver.
Right, yeah.
I just hope the Giants left Darius Slayton back in Pittsburgh.
Thank you. Just it's like, buddy, just stay here. Just we'll put you up in a hotel for a few more days. Yeah, he looked good. It
Yeah.
looked like a job interview. He's like, yes, please consider me for the position of wide receiver. I would do very well here. Thank you. Yeah, Darius Slayton, I would be very happy if the Steelers ended up with him.
Yeah, without question. Yeah, he looked great last night. I think that was one of the only guys that kind of gave us some fits, and they'll have to figure that out going into this next coming week. Because to Allison's point, Joe, on the horizon is going to be a little brutal.
Yeah.
It's gonna get tough. It's gonna get
Ugh.
tough. But one thing that they need to work on is their run defense because they made Tyrone Tracy Jr. look like the love child of Walter Payton and Barry Sanders.
Yeah. And
My
he's not even their starting
goodness.
running back. He was just the hot hand. They're like, hey, you know what I mean? Like Singletary he didn't play very much at all. And that was the most yards that the run defense has allowed all season. So yeah, that's a
20
concern.
rushes, 145 yards, and basically the entire Giants offense shut down when Tracy got hurt. That was like they couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, they you're right. They couldn't move or anything, and so yeah, I mean that's something they have to figure out because they have the bye week. Obviously, they're out this week. They have a Washington team that's very good. I think they'll play well against them, but then you got Baltimore, and Derrick Henry is just he's almost like revived going there. All respect to Najee. Joe, we get this around the spring. I really wish the Steelers would have stepped in front there and said, hey, wait a minute, whatever the Ravens are offering you, we will double it or whatever. Let's get you here. Because Derrick Henry's just killing people now.
And then, now they have Deontay Johnson.
I'm not worried about that.
No,
Deontay Johnson's
it makes them deep. I mean, I'm jealous of the depth. So, all right, Allison, I'll back up a little bit on that. I'm a little bit jealous of the depth. And I think they did that right because, the Chiefs got DeAndre Hopkins, so they're kind of stacking their deck a little bit. And who knows? In a way, Deontay probably fits there because the Baltimore Ravens are not going to put up with his crap. He's not going to get to run his mouth there. They will ship you out in the second. And, maybe where he can go in and be a fourth receiver, a slot guy behind Zay Flowers and Bateman and stuff like that. Maybe Allison's right. I guess I'll have to back up on that one. I'm Team Allison on that.
He's replacing Bateman. Did you see that Ravens-Browns game?
That's right. Yeah.
They basically handed the game to the Browns because Lamar would just throw these beautiful balls to the wide receiver, and Bateman just dropped it. And then Jameis Winston would throw all these interceptions. He's like begging them, please intercept the ball. I want to get off of here. And the Ravens defenders kept dropping them. It's like the Ravens should have easily won that game. And I think it was that moment they said, we're getting somebody because we're not putting up with this fool.
Wasn't the year before the Buccaneers brought in Brady? Didn't he do something like 24 touchdown passes, almost 32 interceptions? I mean, it was insane. I think he set an NFL record. He throws more interceptions than anyone I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, this schedule is going to get real interesting.
I feel better about it than we did in the preseason, Joe.
Yeah.
I really feel they should be Cleveland and Cincinnati.
Well, let's go through this. Let's go through this real quick. Okay, so after the break, it's Steelers at Commanders, Sunday, November 10th. What real quick? What do we say?
I think we do well against rookie quarterbacks. Some reason I think a lot of people have us losing that game. I kind of like their chances there.
What do you
I'm
think,
saying
William?
I'm thinking it's gonna be a loss.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm torn. I'll say win, but I think it's going to be real close and real interesting. I really don't know what they're going to do against Daniels. I don't know. I don't know.
Mhm.
And then the first of the division games, home against the Ravens. Oh boy.
I still feel they might split that, but God, the Ravens are. I hate to say it, the Ravens are really, really good.
They are
They're
very good.
So I'll
Yeah, it's
put that as a
unfortunate.
loss. I won't be surprised if they don't win one of those, but I'm gonna have to put it as a loss right
I
now.
think it's going to be one of those really goofy games where just a lot of just a typical Steelers Ravens game, and I think the
Mhm.
Steelers will win one of them and lose one of them. And
Mhm.
then at the Browns,
I
the
think that's
Browns
mine.
actually look okay. They look like a normal team for once. Now that
Right,
they got
yeah.
rid of that idiot.
I think the
Mhm.
Browns kind of have the
Wow.
same relationship with the Ravens. They sometimes shouldn't beat them, and they do. That was another one. And sometimes, again, the Ravens are just their own worst enemy. So I think we have a much better chance. I think we'd beat Cleveland.
And that's a Thursday night game.
Yeah, and Amazon Prime.
And then the next game at the Bengals. Ho, 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 ho. I don't know what to make of that. Basically, you just need to be ready for a shootout. So
Yeah,
Right.
I
hopefully,
still think we have the edge in that one a little bit. I think that's where, when you talk about defense kind of winning games, I feel like our defense is far superior still. I think we win that one.
Mhm. And I feel like I haven't watched I feel like the Bengals defense is pretty bad still, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
I don't
They're
know.
basically their only hope of winning is if they have Burrow, and T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase playing, and then just winning a shootout.
Right.
Because if one of those guys is hurt, forget about it. They just fall apart. Yeah, because their
Mhm.
defense sucks so much. Then another game. This is a home game against the Browns. I think that's a
Mhm.
win.
Mhm.
The Steelers almost always beat the Browns at home.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then we have our insane gauntlet of at the Eagles, at the Ravens, and then home to the Chiefs on Christmas
In 11 days, they play
in
3
11
Right.
days. I think that's 0-3. I'm
It's
sorry.
0-3. If they go 1-3, Joe, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're just asking so much. You're asking so much.
And and
Yeah.
then the last game is home to the Bengals, and who knows what state will be in then. Because
Mhm.
as it looks like right now, it's a two-way race between the Steelers and the Ravens for the division.
Mhm.
So
Right. It could come down to the wire.
Or or they'll do something typical Steeler, like they'll go 3-0 against those teams, and then lose to Cincinnati like 45-21.
right,
I mean, I could
right.
so see that, but yeah, that's brutal.
Mhm.
I guess their best shot, guys, is probably, and which is the hardest shot, is you have a week to prepare for the Eagles. That's probably your best shot, because I don't think you're beating Baltimore, Kansas City.
Mm-mm. Nope.
So that would be where, if that one comes in, I think that's where it comes in. And hell, I wish it was like, you know, the Cardinals or the Saints or something, but it's the freaking Eagles.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
So it's like,
Right.
yeah. So yeah, the guys, that's kind of how I see it too.
And the Eagles, they've been up and down too,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah, but they have
so
some voodoo magic against the Steelers that no
they've been
matter
a lot of
exactly.
what. And
AJ
it's
Brown
in
coming back.
Philadelphia, right?
It's
Is
in
it
Yeah.
it is
Philadelphia,
in Philadelphia.
4:30.
Yeah, we have no chance.
Yeah, 4:30 game, and I think, although AJ Brown coming back has helped them tremendously. The Eagles are always pretty smart players in the trade deadline too. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't add someone in there. I know the rumor is they're looking at Darius Slayton too. So,
Mm.
Yeah, but would the Giants really trade with the Eagles? That's like this the Browns and the Steelers, working a trade, or the Browns and the Ravens. That's never gonna happen.
yeah, I mean, could you imagine the kickback in New York? You let Saquon go, and then you had Slayton go, and they both went to the
Right.
Eagles. I mean, good lord. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, yeah. So
I mean, you can't blame the Steelers for playing poorly in Philadelphia. It's hard to play football when you're dodging batteries. And God knows what else those heathens are throwing at
True.
them or whatever. Like they have a jail in their stadium. My God.
I'll never forget being there. And I think I've told you a story before, Joe. It was a guy I was working with. He was a customer of mine. He had season tickets to the Eagles. So we go, we're sitting there. It's the Giants. This guy comes in, sits about 3 seats in front of us, and he's got his giant hat and like a giant, light hoodie on. And he just got pelted. I mean, tater tots. It looked like he got attacked by a food court. So, like, he lasted maybe to almost the end of the first quarter. He gets up. We don't see him until like he comes back about a minute or two in the third quarter. He's got an Eagles hat and an Eagles hoodie on. So he went to the merch. And so it wasn't a bad idea because people were getting pretty sloshed. And he sits down and it's probably about 10 minutes. And then someone back there's like, we know who you are, but
Mhm.
you bought merch, so we're gonna let it go. But if you stand up, you're gonna get it. And I mean, like the guy sat there like he was at church, like the preacher was speaking, the hands are on his knees. He's, I mean,
I have no respect. I have no respect for that. You know
No.
what?
scared to death.
You try to wear Eagles gear just to blend in or whatever or not get killed. I
Right.
mean,
I would have
no,
no
I don't respect
problem.
that.
And I think Allison and Leanne talked about this a couple weeks ago. A lot of places you go, you can wear your Steeler merch and actually you'll be part of the majority.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
I would probably consider at least a hat in Cleveland. Cincinnati wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't wear jack crap at an Eagles game. I'd be in like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
I
Carhartts
would
or
just wear
something.
nothing. I would just
Yeah,
wear
right.
no. I mean, not not
Nothing to
not be
do.
naked,
I
but
was
I
gonna
would wear.
say
I
you're not
would.
gonna wear any
Right,
clothes, Joe. I mean,
right.
eh.
Yeah. Give me a
They would
Carhartt
they
and
would throw things at me just to cover up my body.
right. Just a
Here, it's some
fan.
ketchup.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah. I mean, that's I've been to many games and I've seen fans from other teams, and it's like occasionally you might yell something, but I've never seen fights or something like that. But I know they happen. But yeah, Philadelphia, you're just asking for trouble, or New York or something like that. Like no, no, or
Yeah, I
probably
tell you
Baltimore. I
yeah,
would imagine Baltimore would be
yeah,
like that if you rock Steelers gear.
right,
Right.
right. Yeah, so
Mhm.
but so far, man, they're doing pretty good against the NFC East and then New York. So that was we talked about those 2 games, right? So Jets and Giants, and I think we all had them winning both. So
Mm.
there you go.
New York.
Root for New
Yeah.
York, New York, New York.
New York, New
Oh boy,
York.
we're all
Yeah,
singing about all kinds of things today.
Right?
Allison, I tell you.
So after the bye, in theory, we're gonna get back Zach Frazier, hopefully
Sutton.
Nick Herbig, and yeah, and Cam Sutton.
Mhm.
What do you
Yeah.
do with Beanie Bishop? The dude's had 3 interceptions in the last 2 games, and you're telling him to sit down? I don't know.
I think you could bring Cam in a dime situation, but I think you're right, Joe. Beanie's the hot hand, and he's proven it. He's earned it.
Yeah.
Walked on. WVU didn't get drafted. I mean, that's the kind of story. And I think that rallies a team, right? I mean, I don't care. I think like if Troy Polamalu on a team, right, or any of these guys, like they got to be looking like, damn, that guy earned this. I think
Mhm.
they rally around that. I mean, he's not a team captain or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, yeah,
The kid
It's
went from a
it's a fun story.
liability. Sorry, go ahead, Allison.
Oh no, it's a fun story, but you're right. I mean, I feel like this is what you were gonna say in the beginning of the season. He was awful. It's like what's going
Exactly.
on? And then all of a sudden he just comes out of nowhere. I mean, a couple of two of those interceptions were kind of like right place, right time. You know what I mean? Like
Well, the one that Garrett Wilson just bounced off him, and he just
right,
happened to
yeah,
be there.
yeah.
But
And
that first one against Aaron Rodgers,
right. Yes,
that
that
was all
was
like film study and
oh
stuff.
for
So
sure. For sure.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, and I think that's like speaking to Troy Polamalu, he's always seemed to know where the ball was. He had a nose for
yeah,
the ball, and I think this kid has the same thing. So I think he's a hot hand, Joe. He's a rookie. Go for it. But I think Sutton definitely gives him some depth that they need out there.
yeah, yeah.
I,
But ease him in slowly.
I'm still on
I'm
board. Like what he did, not a fan of him really being here. I guess I've learned in life that everyone deserves a second chance. And hopefully this young man is going to embrace this and run with it. But I can't say I'm going to be, exactly cheering him,
Nope.
just can't. Too much
We
respect.
don't know. We don't. I mean, hopefully he that was just a one-time thing. Hopefully, and he turns
To
his
his
life around.
credit, I mean, he's totally thrown himself on the sword, right? Like, I did it. I was wrong. All this stuff, I'll take myself out. Joey talked a little bit about Pete Rose a few months ago or a month ago when he died. I've always maintained if Pete Rose would have came right out and said, you know what, like, cheated, gambled, screwed up, whatever, I think he'd be in the Hall of Fame right now.
Yeah.
He would have been put in like right away. I think maybe on the old timers committee, something he'd be in. So I'll give the kid credit that at least he came forward and said, I messed up. There's a problem. And maybe, hopefully, you just hope a guy like that can turn things around and it doesn't ever happen again.
So right now, so what we've been saying for years is even if this offense was just average, right now they are like ranked 15th in scoring offense. They're right in the middle of, so they are average right now.
And trending up.
And getting better. Yeah, trending up. It's just a beautiful thing to see when he does that play action rollout thing, and then he throws it to Mount Washington. Another thing we've been saying for years now, like throw it to the giant guy that nobody can cover.
Yes.
And then he has a running start, and I say a prayer for any defensive back that has to try to tackle Darnell Washington.
Good luck.
Could you imagine that freight train coming at you? Same thing with Derrick Henry. Like he's like, you know what? Maybe I should go into another profession. Maybe I should, I don't know, work at a craft store or something like that. Because I'm not doing this anymore. Like, it's 6'7", just a giant running full speed at you. Like,
right. Welcome to Michaels. Absolutely. Yeah. But no, Joe, and the funny thing is about with that offense and where it's going, and this is where I think we struggle with some of those games prior, even though we won a few of them. The balance is there, right? 17 points in the second half last night. Probably should have had almost close to that in the first half, but because of some dumb penalties and a questionable call, we only had 9. But that easily could have been, let's say at the very least, 14 points in the first half. You score 28 points in the NFL today, you have a pretty good shot at winning. And that's where I think, in the last couple of weeks with Fields in there, we just weren't, one half pretty good, one half was bad. Like the Colts game, you can't go in the NFL today against most teams and be down 17-0 at halftime and come back. So yeah. Unless you're the Commanders and what happened with the Bears on Sunday, which was tremendous. What a tool bag that guy is.
Right. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. He's taunting the fans as the play is going on.
Has his back to the play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, by the way, there's a play going on, and he just moseys on over and then deflects it to the guy.
That was Mike Mitchell 101 right there. I mean, that was like a Mike Mitchell play. Yep.
Blast from the past.
I'm going to go over to the Jags locker room, knock on the door, and tell them how bad we're going to kick your butt, and then we're going to give 45 points to them.
Right.
So
nothing like firing up the other team right before you play them. Good job, buddy.
Right. And then again, on the flip side, Joe, too, the way that balances out, they only gave up 9 points in the second half. The defense came. That's 2 weeks in a row now against the Jets and the Giants, who have, I think, capable offenses, that they're doing a pretty good job in the second half of keeping them tame and keeping them in check. A lot easier to do when your offense is performing.
Almost every game so far this season, the Steelers have dominated in the second half. It's been incredible, and like the point differential in the second half is just, and they've scored a lot in the second half too. So I think it's amazing.
Aren't they the number 1 scoring team in the third quarter or something like that?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, so now we have a week without football. We get to watch. Is the entire NFC North have the week off, or is it just?
I think it's quite a few teams.
It's a lot of teams. For some reason, there were no buys this week.
Yeah, there were no buys this week, and like the first week there were only like 2 teams that had a buy. So it's been
Weird.
interesting.
It's
Yeah, it is
weird. I
weird.
think, yeah, the way they're doing that this year is weird.
I agree.
I am looking forward to 1 o'clock Sunday games because I am tired of this night stuff.
Yeah.
I like sleep. I would like there was no way I was sleeping after that game.
No. Mm-mm.
No, no, it was
Too
yeah, it was
wired.
tough. It was tough.
Oh, we don't even mention. Oh, by the way, TJ Watt won the game. Oh, by the way. Oh, by the way,
Yeah. Yeah, and he's probably having, like I'd say, not a struggling, but not having the season we're used to from him. And then last night he just woke up and yeah. And sometimes with TJ guys, like I think he has a game like that. There's more coming.
Right.
To be so. Yeah.
Shout out to the tackle for the Giants. It's like, oh, I want him one-on-one. Really, bro?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Is that really what you want?
Nope.
It's like that guy is like the guy from the Chargers. I'm like, it worked for the first half, and in the second half, nope. Alt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Control. He
Control,
alt deleted
delete.
himself. Yeah. Yeah. TJ is getting it done, even though he's being held. And they did something I've never seen before. They actually switched sides. He Watt actually went on the other side. Like,
yeah.
why
and I
didn't you
posted about that. Terrell Austin made that call there in the third quarter. I think they were starting to get let the Giants move down the field a little bit, and they're like, let's do this. And wow,
They should do that more often. That's smart.
Yep, 100%.
Hopefully we see a little more from Patrick Queen. Not that I'm complaining about his play, but hopefully he figures it out a little bit more because I mean one thing the Steelers are really good at the bye week, and usually at the bye week they have to figure out, they have to like solve some horrible problems that they're experiencing, but this time it's not too bad. So but hopefully they could get Patrick Queen going a little bit more because I think he's
yeah, that would be good. Yeah, he's been up and down again, same sort of situation. He just hasn't been as consistent as I think the Steelers were hoping that he
I
would.
think he's just still learning learning the team, learning the system. I mean, he has a lot on his plate. He has to be like, the brains of the defense. So I get it. I'm not complaining. I just, and then the whole Minka thing, it's like, people say, well, he doesn't do anything, and other people say, well, he's back there and he's preventing the deep play or whatever. It's like, yeah, but are we paying him all that money just to be a scarecrow? Like shouldn't he be doing more stuff? I don't
His
know.
role's changed a lot. Like his first couple seasons, he was a ball hawk, and now he's more a tackler. You know what I mean? Like I'm not into my X's and O's and things, but it just seems like he's not playing sort of like the same role that he was when he first came on.
Hey,
yeah, I think so. And I think sometimes though, when you get to a new defense like that, you do kind of struggle. Not everybody's going to come out and be the defensive player of the year. You're on a team with some big personalities and some fine, fantastic skill sets. So you kind of find your way a little bit. So yeah, I think you're right. I think, and that's the thing that's kind of scary is I'm not by any means done with him yet. When he kind of gets back to what he used to be, look out.
Yep.
yeah, maybe that's just, hey, if they're not complaining, I'm not going to complain. I don't know what we predicted when we did our predictions, what we had for the Steelers at the first 8 games. I know I had them going 8-0. I had them going 10-0 and losing 7 in a row. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I don't remember what you guys did.
I know I don't think any of us had them losing to Washington because I don't think any of us thought the Washington would be as good as they were.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So that would be one that's kind of interesting now. And then I think you're right. I think a lot of us fell into that same thing where we, just because of the timing of that schedule, at least the last 4 games, I think we had them all going like maybe 2-2 at best or 1-3.
I actually have it. Okay, so Darren, you had them winning You had them going 5-3. Allison, you had them going 4-4, and Leanne had them going 5-3. So close. And then I had them going 8-0, which could have happened. Could have
It could
happened.
have.
We could have beat the Colts and
Totally.
the Cowboys.
Right.
But yeah, we all had those beating the Commanders, and
Okay.
and everyone had them beating the Ravens the next week except for me. So we'll see. I think that's going to be so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Deontay Johnson is going to talk so much between
Oh,
Deontay Johnson tripping at like, just he's going to say some ridiculous things.
yes.
He was
Yep.
holding back, trying to be
Guaranteed.
professional, and now it's like, oh, you sent me to Siberia. Well, now I'm back, baby. And I think Patrick Queen going back with going back at the Ravens. I think that's going to be real interesting too. So, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be fun. But I think they're going to trade for someone. I just don't know who.
Yeah, they need a receiver. Maybe a depth at offensive line at this point, but I mean, I think they're going to grab a receiver, and they need to.
Mm-hmm.
Still need to. Although Van Jefferson, I mean, that was a beautiful adjustment he made on the one catch last night. I'm like, whoa.
Oh, for sure. He made up for he had one. There was one mistake he made
Something
on
in
the
the end
first
zone or
target
something
or
like
something.
that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But he made up for it with that.
I think that's Russell Wilson's greatest
Catch.
accomplishment is he made Van Jefferson an actual NFL receiver. Like, I don't know. Do they award Nobel Peace Prize in sports or something like that? Because the man deserves Russell Wilson deserves a statue for that, and not that ugly Dwayne Wade statue, like an
Oh my
actual
gosh.
statue that looks like him.
Wayne Wayne statue. Oh yeah.
People 3D printers exist. You just print these kind of things now.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
look like angry David Letterman or something like that. Like
Yeah.
what
It looks like a bad court stenographer did that.
could you imagine they make a statue of you and they unveil it and it looks ugly? You're like, yeah, and everyone's like, like that has to be so awkward.
Right.
What are you gonna do?
Right. Joe, one last thing I'll throw in there because it's it'll be this week and well we're off this week, but the next two games I've always really enjoyed how the Steelers and the NFL has embraced salute the service. So I kind of threw that hoodie on tonight. My dad, everybody in my family's been military, and I think a reason to do that is also recognize since 2001, 125,000 veterans have taken their lives. In fact, in this country right now. Adults that are veterans have a 71% higher suicide rate than adults that are non-veterans. So there's a lot of ways to help veterans. If you just look online, go to something, ask how to help a veteran, and there's a lot of ways to help. But one thing, give them thumbs up for doing that, and just for supporting the men and women that have fought for this country, and so we could have podcasts like this and root for our teams like this, and throw batteries at people like they do in Philadelphia. I mean, that all came from people that at least believe in what this country, whatever political side you're on, I don't care. I think at least the one core thing is we all believe in this country and love this country in one way or another. So that's why I kind of wore this tonight. I'll probably wear this for our next show too. But yeah, just want to
Veterans Day is coming up soon, isn't it?
November 11th.
In November 11th. Yep.
Yeah. It is a major problem. Way too many veterans are committing suicide. It is a major problem, and whatever can be done to help with that. It's is that just about any game you go to, they highlight a member of someone that's in the service.
Mhm.
And it is a wonderful thing. They say, okay, we're highlighting this person, and here's all the wonderful things they've done, and everybody, gives them a standing ovation and shows them respect and stuff. So that needs to happen more often. We need to show more respect to veterans. Like you said, Darren, we would not be here if it wasn't for the sacrifices that they made. I would just imagine in Philadelphia, when they do salute the service, they probably give them like extra batteries to throw at Santa Claus or whatever,
Right.
or whatever they do there.
Right.
They boost Santa Claus, but I'll bet they still respect the
They
veterans.
do it with respect.
Heck, wasn't it called Veteran Stadium, or was it?
Yeah, it was. It was better. It was the vet. Yeah.
There you go. So,
Yep.
but yeah, definitely respect to the veterans. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Great
thank you
talking to you
guys.
guys again.
Allison.
Alrighty, see ya.
Thanks.
We'll see you.